Hello, hello, and welcome to day 3 of Lazada Learning Festival 2020. My name is Katie from Lazada Singapore, and I'll be your host for this session, Leading Teams for Innovation by Mr. Samir Das. I know we have viewers tuned in from Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, and even Singapore. A warm welcome to you and even to our sellers community. We trust that everyone is holding up safe and strong, especially in this current time. So we really want like to thank everyone for taking your time off and joining us in this festival. Before we begin, let me just remind everyone that this is a safe space, no judgments. So if you have any questions whatsoever during the session or even post-session, do just type it into your respective group channels. And of course, we would get back to you accordingly, right? So joining us today is a wonderful individual, Mr. Samir Das. He is a consummate human capital management professional, right? With international training and talent management implementation experience, which spans across the APAC, EMEA, and North America regions, right? So Samir joined Facebook as a global training specialist in 2019 and is currently holding the role of a partner learning manager. It has been a sheer privilege for me in getting to know him. And if you ask me, people did ask, in 3 words, how would you describe Samir? Well, for me, he is definitely witty, humble, and absolutely innovative. So everyone, if you could just join me, right? Join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to Samir by, just putting a little bit of king, those little emoticons as we welcome him onto this virtual stage.
Hello, Katie.
Hello, Samir.
Can you hear me loud and clear? Is the audio, is the video working fine?
Right, I can see you and I can definitely hear you clearly, but more importantly is our viewers out there, right? So people out there, if you are able to hear and see Samir, could you just give a thumbs up so we know that visuals and audio are good? Oh, wonderful. Samir, yeah, we are getting, thumbs up. So, well, without, holding us back, because I know you have a lot of things to cover, and we definitely would like to open up with a Q&A session later on. So thank you once again in advance. The virtual stage is yours.
Thank you so very much, Katie. I feel super honored and privileged, honestly. This is the best day to start a Friday and a long weekend here in Singapore. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And my name is Samir, and today I will discuss on a theme called Leading Teams for Innovation. So Katie has given a wonderful introduction about me. I don't think I can match that, but just a quick intro about me. I'm currently the partner learning manager at Facebook. I am a hugely passionate training professional, been in the overall industry for 14 years now, in the training domain for the last 9 years. I'm also super passionate about anything and everything in the online ad space. And prior to joining in Facebook here in Singapore, I was working in the Google ecosystem. I moved from KL actually, so I've been in this area for quite some time now. Love the food, the people, and the weather here in Singapore. So today, before we start off, actually, I have a very interesting question, and I thought of starting that as a cue. And I know this is a terrible time, honestly speaking. So I want to just gauge our reaction probably. So let me know, how are you feeling? Are you feeling more or less creative during this current pandemic? So it can be creative / innovative. I've used that word because creative is often referred to different dimensions. But yeah, you might want to just use your chat function there and probably type in either more or less so that I can have a sense of how you guys are feeling. Actually, it's really tough time. I want to acknowledge that. I'll wait for a few seconds, and I know there might be a little bit of lag till the time you type in. But just go to the chat panel and just type in your more or less. That's the easiest way to do that. Because of the sheer size of the audience, I know it's huge. Otherwise, I would have loved to have a poll function, but you'll not be able to manage it properly. Okay, so I find Emma saying more. I find Brian saying less. I find Fikri saying more. So yeah, it seems there can be a mixed audience, but as more and more people are actually writing it. So Audrey, very, very creative. Oh my God, that's music to the ears. I get a theme of more being predominant here. And if you ask me, and thanks for participating here, if you ask me, even I am feeling more creative. There can be a lot of negative feelings, and not necessarily we are loving in this entire not so sure future, the work from home, all the business being hit and all. But if there is something to define the creative or innovative or thought process, we are actually investing more time in that. I do that. I'm saving 1.5 hours of travel time. That is the time I probably think what I need to do with my future. What are my entrepreneurial strengths? So thanks for participating in that. So there's a follow-up question actually, and this is again on a lighter note. Which part of the day you feel more creative? You don't have to give the hours and all. Probably it can be the morning, noon, evening, or night. That's an interesting one. I want to hear your thoughts. Again, I'll wait for some time till you type in. And while you are getting all the results, it seems, since there is a little bit of more lag in this question, it seems people are thinking, hey, hold on a minute, it might not be all the 4 options. It might not be either of the 4 options. It might be all the 4 options. Okay, but this is interesting. I'm getting few predominant themes, right? So just to share with the group, I do have that saying morning, but then we do have a few folks saying evening, like Tuong saying evening. And there is also one person saying night. Oh my God, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, there's no one size fits all, right? Because it also depends on our work environment and the current engagements that we have on plate. So I feel in the morning, honestly speaking, yeah, when I sip a coffee and just look or spend 5 to 10 minutes in the balcony before I start my crazy day at work. So I feel more creative, but my creativity actually reduces when I'm swamped with work during the later part of the day. But thanks for participating. This is super useful for me, and I thought I could resonate with few of this. Now, moving on, I'll start actually the day with a quote. And TED Talk like structure, but yeah, I love quotes, and I have a lot of inspiration actually. And this person needs no introduction. So there's a quote from Albert Einstein: "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we created them." And if there is any theme which needs or deserves more discussions, brainstorming, and even debate, is innovation in this pandemic time. So we never thought of this problem. And of course, like, we have to come up with ways to solve in our own smaller way, while the medical fraternity is trying to look at it at a macro level. So today we are going to, of course, discuss on leading teams for innovation. That's the theme, but I've actually put it into 4 buckets. It's not necessarily a training session, it's more of a discussion, but I thought compartmentalizing might help because a lot of folks will also actually watch it later. So as a mind map. So we'll discuss, of course, the major theme is leading teams for innovation. I'll also chat a little bit about people, the environment, That's the predominant thing, the current environment and the adaptability. Lastly, I'll try to give a sneak peek into how we, as a corporate here in Facebook, try to inculcate the culture of innovation. So going to the leading themes for innovation, the first thing that comes to my mind, and this I have read in some books and as well as few different business schools, and like innovation. So innovation has different meanings, right? And today, for the lack of proper word, it's actually overused and like sometimes used in a way which probably didn't mean, because everybody, you go to everybody will say, yeah, we are doing innovation, right? So it's abused sometimes, to be very honest. Now, of course, like innovation, there's a journey. It's not a one-off event, it's a journey, and it starts from planning to experimentation. I would rather say experimentation is the key word, but also the most important thing is whether the entire organization or even the executive leaders believe that it's a good investment to invest in the culture of innovation, to train all the employees, to reward them, and make a company a safe place. It's okay to fail. So all these are different cultural nuances, and it will not happen in one day. It will take time. And I have worked in different companies which had it. I have worked in few companies which probably is more looking on the process and going with this or the work of things. But yeah, that's the key theme. And in regards to innovation, I'll also want to anchor on, of course, like it's from planning to experimentation, but at the same time, there's a wonderful survey. If we move on, so there is a study being conducted by Boston Consulting Group in 2015. It's still relevant. Like this study is pretty famous and it's being used in a lot of researchers, Harvard Business Review researchers. So that's the reason why I've taken this. I'm pretty sure if somebody does that today, it will only be more inclined toward innovation. So in 2015 survey, 79% of global executives described innovation as a top 3 priority. 22% said that it was the top priority. And I can not imagine what would that percentage look like today, but it would definitely shoot up. So everybody agrees that innovation is required. Now, how much we are going to inculcate that in our organizational culture? There are different, again, like innovation has varied meanings, and there are different researches on that. This is what I relate to, and this entire presentation is my thought process, not necessarily it's a generic understanding. But yeah, I think I tried to cover it pretty much, the core part for the audience. For who work in the innovation space, it's wonderful. And for who do not, you might want to like think, our wonderful seller community here in Lazada, want to think how best to do that. And not necessarily it's only on the employees part, it's also thinking from the customer's perspective, how you can build innovative products. So yeah, these are the 4 characteristics, to again put it simpler way. Divergent thinking is very much required. Risk taking, as I mentioned, like failing is okay, but you have to continue taking risk. Failure tolerance, agility. Like agile is the again another buzzword, and sometimes again it's being abused. But yeah, agility is very important. Flexibility is very important. Of course, all of this should come hand in hand with profitability. I agree to that. For small and medium businesses, the argument can be, hey, I don't have all the cash reserves of a big corporate to carry out all the innovation, but that's okay. So that is the balancing we'll have to do. But at the same time, what I'm saying is there's no way we can ignore that this deserves investment. So in the Harvard Business Review, and since we are anchoring on the theme of leading team for innovation, there are 10 major traits which are being mentioned as leading team for innovation. And it's a validated study, and if somebody follows Harvard Business Review, like Not anybody and everybody can publish it. So it goes through its research mechanism. So I'd have loved to give it in 3 to 4 pointers, but unfortunately it's not that. And that speaks volume that a lot of companies or executives are still not following it. It's not that you do one or two things, you can consider yourself an innovative leader. So this 10 things can resonate, and the recording is there, so you can always refer to that in case it's looking like too many texts right now, but I wouldn't have done justice if I'd have only taken one or two. So it can be as simple as like excellent strategic vision. The vision is very important. We have spoken in so many leadership programs, right? A strong customer focus. Our seller community think from the shoes of customer. Again, very, very overtly used product or a quote, but it is important. And like there are companies where the managers actually go out, the executive top leadership go out and actually spend some time with the distributor and all, and those are music to the ears, right? And in Japan, there are wonderful terminologies. In Japan, they use it, right? And there's a particular terminology for that. So I'll not open that right now because it will divert the attention. But what I'm trying to say is getting into customer shoes is literally not that statement. It's much, much beyond that. And that's very important. And of course, there are like 10 different topics, but I'm trying to resonate with the audience because we do have a seller community, and that's where the customer shoes comes in handy. Excel at setting stretch goals, emphasize speed. I mean, we'll come to the Facebook culture later, but speed is something which we definitely follow. And one of our company culture is move fast. It's all also about the leader giving a safe space for all the employees, candid in their communication, and motivate. The last point always resonates. So these are the top 10 traits of an innovative leader should be, and this is based on different researches. I can resonate to that, and we can debate on the few languages. It can be 5, 6, or these two can be clubbed here. That's okay. Like this is more of a theme, if I may say. And there's a very interesting buzzword which is going on nowadays, which is called disruptive innovation. I'm not sure how many of you have heard it. So if we move on, disruptive innovation is something which is kind of, I wouldn't say the word coined, but it actually came into existence after the book Innovator's Dilemma is being written by Christensen. So for people who haven't read the book, and if you are into books, you can read that. But otherwise, today there are a lot of options. There are audiobooks. There are like literary podcasts also, I'm pretty sure, somewhere in the internet. This deals with two major concepts, right? There is something called sustaining innovation. So in other words, there is nothing much you can do other than sustain on established products. Disruptive innovation is disrupting the value proposition. So I'll give you a few examples, and I mean, I could have provided a slide with so many brands example, but I didn't want to like actually give brand examples as in like a visual one. It's not fair to that. But if you look carefully, think of the companies that are innovative today. When you think of companies like Netflix, like Uber, like Airbnb, like Facebook, like Google, so they have come a big way, right? Just imagine if somebody has experience. There was a company called Blockbuster. I'm just giving one example of Netflix, right? So Blockbuster was a huge hit during that time, right? But Netflix innovated, and we can't see any more Blockbuster, unfortunately. Similarly, Airbnb guys are actually giving a run for the money to the hotel industry. Similarly, the Uber folks are giving a run for the money to the taxi drivers. So there are different companies, and as a company, as you grow bigger, you will have to inculcate that disruptive innovation, because as you grow bigger, chances are you will actually slip on the innovative mindset, because in startup, it's probably a simpler process, a smaller focus group who all believe in the same mission. But whenever the company grows in scale, that's where it will go into a lot of nuances. So I just thought of highlighting this particular part of disruptive innovation. And when it came through, and this book might be a good read. I read a lot of books, so this is one. I loved it. So yeah, that's a little bit about leading teams, about innovation, and we'll come to the second section of it. And sometimes I'm just looking, am I keeping check of the time and all? So people is very important. Like in any company, it's your employees, and I'm now thinking on the people perspective. Of course, for a startup of one or two company who's a product company, it's more of the customers in this case. But yeah, what I'm saying is here, since I'm saying leading teams, and that doesn't necessarily mean you need to be a team leader or a manager. It can be leading a project. It can be, I can be an individual contributor and leading a separate project on innovation. So this is a very interesting one, and few of you are probably aware of it. There's something called Marshmallow Challenge, and it's being used in a lot of business schools, in a lot of team building activities, a lot of corporates. So there's a simple rule, actually. So you'll get 20 yards of stick, 20 yards of the ribbon. You'll have marshmallows, and we'll have 18 minutes. So what do you have to do? So you'll of course break into teams, and this is the team building exercises. As I said, in a lot of corporates in the induction time they do it, and the end result that needs to be achieved is which one or which team have the highest free flowing marshmallows. I mean, the tallest structure, in other words. Okay, and it cannot be from top. It needs to have a proper base and all. And interesting, and there's a TED talk also on that. If somebody is interested, you can actually see that. Interesting, there's a Harvard Business Review study, and when again researched again different companies or different target segments, we found a very interesting logic. If we move on, you will see there's a graph, or a bar rather, which says and which team were more successful in this Marshmallow Challenge. Okay, the most successful team is architects and engineers. Thank God. I feel more safe now. I would have been superbly concerned if that graph would have been the least. But yeah, if you see the CEOs, yeah, it's okay, the executives, but at the same time, the very, very important, the kids. And primarily because I said 18 minutes, right? If you get into, and if you can resonate with the corporate culture, if you get into a meeting, if you go into a brainstorming, not necessarily move fast is something you do. And probably in this Marshmallow Challenge, 10 to 15 minutes, I've seen a lot of teams, because I also run trainings, right? A lot of teams actually discuss and debate for 10 to 12 minutes, which is okay. But what I'm saying, there is also an inner theme of a failure, like fear of failure rather. So I'm an executive, I'm a CEO, I'm a leader. I came from Harvard, I came from Yale, I came from Columbia. I don't want to fail. And that's the reason why the structure building will take its own sweet time, and probably it's not successful. For a kid, on the other hand, he doesn't necessarily need to fear for failure. And that's the reason why he has more openness. And he said, it's okay, let's try. But instead of speaking, let's try and see which one works. So it's a very interesting study. Of course, it doesn't mean that you have to come with all innovative projects in 18 minutes, but I'm just sharing the theme that the fear of failure is a big, big blocker of innovation. So moving on, you'll also see, we discussed about the Marshmallow Challenge, and this is the different ways to encourage innovation in workplace, and this is specific to people or employees in this case. So it can be in different ways, right? It can be giving them a safe space. It can be encouraging alternative points of view, and promoting fearless behavior, and reward innovative ideas. In a lot of places, I don't see the rewarding part. I mean, probably something resonates, it's absolutely okay. But in innovation, there will be a lot of failed ideas. But there should be a celebration, or there should be a proper culture of weekly, bi-weekly check-ins on that. That's an interesting, easier said than done, to be very honest. Like if I today open a company with a smaller cash reserve, I'll have to see how to balance it. but at least I know the biggest failure is if I don't balance it. So I wanted to share this a little bit about people, and then we'll go to the, of course, the current environment piece. So moving on, environment and adaptability. Interesting one. So today's environment, I'm pretty sure I've seen your agenda actually, and I'm pretty sure VUCA is being covered in few of the talks. But yeah, if anything, a one liner or a one slider that needs to summarize today's environment, this is it, right? This is the new normal. It's a volatile, uncertain, complex, and definitely ambiguous. So in today's new normal, there's a different way of looking at things. So in Singapore, few movie theaters have also opened, though there's no movie release. And I've seen, I've snapped actually a picture of I got from one of our internal sources. So this is the new normal. This is the 2020 years so far, right? I mean, you cannot go out without a mask, and thank God, few stores have opened it. If we move on, you will see there are a few news articles, and this is when this article started in when it was early stages during the March, April, May zone. And everybody predicted, these are all the big news articles, right? Everybody predicted it's going for global recession. And as the days are increasing, it is actually quite horrifying if you ask me. So today's world, more than anywhere else, we need a concept of resilience. And whenever I speak of resilience, there's one individual which comes to my mind, Sheryl Sandberg. She is the COO of Facebook, and if anybody is not aware, you can actually do Google or YouTube search. There are a lot of talks also. But she is very, very, and again, this is going into the theme of innovative culture in Facebook. She's very passionate about the word resilience. And there are different, again, interpretations of the word resilience. And one of her favorite quote is, we cannot change what we are not aware of. And once we are aware of, we cannot help but change. So it's important that on 2019 December, nobody was aware of the pandemic is coming. And once you're aware of that is today, we cannot help but change. And I think everybody is doing it in this very way. I was speaking to Katie the other day. I would have loved to do I normally do talks in person. I love that audience expression. And it's very, very disturbing when I can't see anybody's face. But yeah, that's again a new normal. I cannot help, but I change and adapt myself. So what is resilience? The way I see, and I've just given an image representation, that's the reason why there are a few more slides. I just want to make it more image heavy as opposed to text heavy. The way I see resilience is building a muscle, as simple as that. So you have to develop your muscle. That means it was there. Like muscle, it's always there. Like you go to gym, and after tremendous exercise, it actually grows. Resilience is something you have to develop. It's the adaptability and grow your muscle and take care. Everybody should take care of your well-being as well as your employees' well-being, the leaders, whosoever is listening. So there are different stages or different steps or different ways to explain resilience. I have given it a stab, and this is based on, again, Sheryl's and different other talks. If we move on, these are the the 6 ways I think you can become resilient. The first is most important: accepting change, acknowledging that a change is required. And there are a lot of change management models. There are a lot of change managers in different corporates to do that. And if we take our own employee perspective, even a small reorg or an acquisition, a merger, we come up with so much of resistance. Not necessarily all changes for bad, right? And so you have to be a open-minded person to accept for the change. A continuous learning, I'm huge passionate. So one of my mantra or motto in my LinkedIn also, I say lifelong learning. 2020, I'm really investing because I cannot travel, of course. So I'm spending all my money in different executive educations. Self-empowerment, you have to empower yourself, become bigger and stronger in the new normal. Sense of purpose, personal and professional networks. This is the time to build networks, because at least you cannot go to coffee shop. But yeah, let's see the LinkedIn network, and there are different ways to build network. I mean, we are, at the end of the day, social animals. So we need to connect with folks apart from the wonderful family time this pandemic is offering us. So it's always looking at that positive mindset. And that's where reflections. I have never been a fan of mindfulness, or so to say meditation. I thought I was too disturbed to keep quiet and meditate. But at the same time, I'm finding it immensely satisfying and gratifying. I have enrolled for sleep. I've enrolled for all the other apps which are good, of headspace, of meditation. So yeah, this is the best time to become resilient. I just thought of sharing my chain of thoughts. And with that, we'll go to one of my most passionate sections in this talk: how we inculcate innovation at Facebook. And if anybody has seen or done a little bit of research, Facebook is a mission-driven company, and like all the employees, we are hugely focused on the mission and the vision shared, and like we try to get it in our literally veins. Yeah. So what happens when Facebook was built? It was like a startup right out of a garage, and that time we have seen speed and passion is what drives it. But as like any company, as I said, when the company becomes bigger, when it grows bigger, it normally comes at the cost of innovation, is what we have also felt. So a speed and passion should not actually be held hostage by scale and process. And that's the reason why the scale and process is actually mentioned in red. It's important. We have to, when the company is growing, it's important to have that scalability approach and get into defining a process. But that should not, exactly what the slide suggests, that should not make the speed and the passion move away in our mental map, in the company culture, in the executive leadership vision and mission. This is a wonderful picture, and this is all the posters that you see here. We have an internal team called Analog Lab. And if anybody go to any of the Facebook office, okay, I have an open offer. If anybody wants, once we have everything sorted out, like I'm a huge fan of community building. Okay, so if anybody wants to drop by to the Singapore Facebook office, I can host anybody for lunch. Yeah, I have certain limitations, but I can. And if you want to see how the culture is being built, we have a wonderful partner center, so for agencies and other folks. But yeah, if somebody is dealing with Facebook Partner Manager, so there are actually executives who are helping your business, so you can reach out to them. That should be your first point of contact. But yeah, these are all the posters, and of course we do have 5, like say for example, we have a mission-driven company, we have mission and vision, our vision is like be open, be bold, focus on impact, move fast. But these are the posters that we inculcate in our hearts, right? If you see on the right one, that's in white background, nothing at Facebook is somebody else's problem. So yeah, think of it like an entrepreneur. So if I'm owner of the company, of course I cannot log off at 6 in the evening and I say it's your problem. So ruthless prioritization is another important thing. Feedback is a gift. We literally go and beg, hey, you give me a feedback, how did it go? Done is better than perfect. Hard conversations, move fast and break things. So yeah, the break things part, it had a little bit of modification because we don't want to inculcate in breaking too many things. But yeah, move fast is definitely one of the values. So all these posters are there in different spaces, because we do invest a lot in the company environment, as in like the office space, and making it more open. So this is again a company culture. If we move on, this is the mission statement: to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. So we are here for a mission, and we always, I don't know if anybody of you heard it, we always say we are only 1% done. So no matter how much you do, 2.7, 2.8 billion people on the platform, but we are still 1% done, because of course there is lot more people on the earth that we need to connect to, and we can share our wonderful products, which can be hugely beneficial to few. So that's our mission statement. We do inculcate that over in our company culture. One of the most important, and there are different visions. I'm not going through, this is of course not a Facebook induction, so I'm just taking the important one which is relevant for innovation. And one of the most important approach that we do is we ask everybody not to fear failure. So everybody should come up. It's a safe place. It's okay to fail. Fail harder is one poster, if you notice in the previous slide. So we have a concept called hackathon, or like hackers, where a selected group comes in and brainstorms ideas. And that's where I have a wonderful story in a couple of slides from now. A new product feature is being created. So in fact, we are so fond of this word hackathon. we have renamed the company headquarters in Menlo Park, like one hack away. So moving on, what we do also as a part of our culture, like I said, the leader needs to inculcate that. And one of our company motto is being open. So this is very interesting, and I find it hugely rewarding. Every week, Mark actually holds a Q&A with all the employees, and this is a live picture of that's being done, which is video streamed, and all the employees have an option to actually pose the questions and even vote, and he literally answers. And it's such an open space. We never think him as a CEO or a boss, right? I've been to that company place once, and I've been lucky or fortunate to be present, and like literally anybody and everybody can come up with real tough questions, and Mark actually tries to answer them. So that's an open culture from the leadership. This is the culture which helps us to think that it's a safe place. It's okay to fail. And coming on that theme, I told you I'll give you a wonderful story. I think that's relevant. If we move on. So there's an interesting one. So there's one employee, Sharon Jang, and this story is actually there as well. But the background of it, and of course I didn't join that time, but I heard all the wonderful from my fellow peers. Is like a few of our friends where she was like quite stressed because there was the Boston massacre, and she was not sure whether her friends over there were safe or not, and that actually kept her awake in night probably, and that disturbed her. So in one of the hackathon events, she got involved, or she actually collaborated with one of the like-minded engineers, and everybody came up to solve how to do that. 9 months later, we have a feature which a lot of you today know as safety check. And that has been hugely rewarding. So these are the products that we are saying as a Facebook suite of products. We do that, right? We innovate, like even in the pandemic, suddenly we are coming up with messenger roles, and like it's really the move fast culture. But safety check, and like I come from India, I've stayed in KL, I have been here in Singapore, like earthquakes, the Paris bombing, oh my God, that was a huge one. So we have got 3 million safety checks over there. So it's just another way of building community, connecting the world, and making it more open and connected. Again, inculcating on the culture of innovation. Moving on, we will see, and this is just one example. I can go on and on, but yeah, I think, and like I urge all here. This is my generic perspective, and not necessarily it's a perspective of Facebook or anybody else, but I urge all of us here, think of how we can contribute, and not necessarily only in the organization structure, in the community. What are the different ways you can improve in different ways? The sellers can do a wonderful job. I think innovation will change the world, right? And every one of us has that basic responsibility to build that community and an innovative mindset. With that, I have a wonderful quote actually, and that is another person who doesn't need introduction. So that's our CEO, apparently, Mark. So people think innovation is just having a good idea, but lot of it is just moving quickly and trying a lot of things. So it's very important to move fast. That's one of our mission, and and trying a lot of things, and that can only happen if the top leadership is okay for you to fail, at the same time reward innovation. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'll build a team which is not at all a high performing and they'll keep on failing, right? So after each failure, what are the learnings and how we can improve going forward? So it's not one and the other. It needs to have the balance. The only thing that I'm trying to make here, it's not that angle will not be looked at all. And it's not as a statement in a leadership talk, a company executive saying it's okay to fail. It should exhibit in the day-to-day results. When an employee when my reportee comes to me and he say, this is the thing, this is the project, but unfortunately it's failed, it's absolutely okay, and get the learning and how to move forward. And similarly for customer innovation, thinking from the customer's perspective, it's absolutely okay as a product development team. If any products fail, we failed in a lot of products, that's okay. But at the same time, that's where we are building a community where we have our success products have far exceeded the failure landscape. So with that thought, I told you, right, I'll give 15 minutes back for any questions, and I was cognizant of time. I'll leave quickly and ask if there are any questions.